Fable 4 has already faced tons of criticisms after the first trailer went up with the masculinized female lead and the humor that many people thought was a bit bland, and while we've heard rumors the game is in a state of disaster, now we've learned their narrative lead is leaving the studio after only a year on the project. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. Starting with this Game Rant article, it says Fable 4's narrative lead is leaving Playground Games. Just a little over a month after the long-awaited title made its world debut, Playground Games' Fable 4 is losing one of its key team members with the departure of narrative lead Anna Meagle. In addition to its work on Fable 4, though, Playground Games is also responsible for the widely successful Forza Horizon series of racing games on PC and Xbox consoles. Now, I do like Forza, and I think they've done a pretty good job with it, but when it comes to Fable, it's a bit of a different story, right? Because people have a lot of nostalgia and love for Fable as a franchise in general. But Fable 4, we have heard a lot of very worrying things about, which I'm going to get into, and I just don't necessarily know if they are going to take Fable 4 in the direction that fans of this franchise were really expecting. It says, debuting in 2004 with the release of Fable The Lost Chapters on the Xbox, the Fable franchise offers players an often comedic take on the typical fantasy RPG, and I will give it that yes, it has been very filled with humor in the past. It has been very different than a lot of the other fantasy that is on the market, but it seems like with 4, they have taken it in a very different direction, and not just a comedic direction, because again, that would be perfectly fine in what you would expect from Fable, but a modern day Fable, which is the issue. It says, as first reported by Games Radar, Fable 4's narrative lead Anna Meagle has announced her departure from developer Playground Games after over 3 years with the company in total, but she has only been the narrative lead of this project for a year at this point. It says she had previously been a lead writer on The Division 2, and for Control, she announced her departure from the UK-based studio on her personal Twitter account. Now, obviously, people come and go from projects very often, but when you are a narrative lead on something and you are the person in charge of a major part of a project, you would think that she would have stuck around, especially when she had only been on it for about a year in this specific position. That just definitely is a red flag, and by itself it might not seem, to be that much of a red flag, but when you have everything else kind of combined, it definitely looks like Fable is in a bit of trouble. It also says, although a high-level shakeup like this might leave some gamers feeling worried about the future of the franchise's latest entry, she assured Fable 4 fans that Playground has assembled a heroically talented team, so I know it's in good hands. Even with the excitement surrounding the return of the long-running franchise, the debut didn't land with every fan, and it does bring up the trailer, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Now, like the article mentioned, she has worked on some pretty notable games: Guild Wars 2, Dishonored, Control. She's been working on Fable, so she is well known in the industry, and she is actually working on the upcoming Avatar Frontiers of Pandora game, which I'm looking forward to. But she is, definitely not one of the most questionable people that are working on this project. If you don't know, the individuals that are working on this game definitely lean one specific way, which is why a lot of people definitely were upset over the masculinized female lead and some of the humor that was in the first trailer. This is someone who is a level designer at Playground Games, non-binary, trans femme, they, her, with lots of flags. We've got Rebecca High, games writer, witch in training, writer at Fable, pronouns in bio. It definitely seems like the project in general has a lot of social justice warriors and people who would love to be activists that are part of the project, but even that isn't the only problem with this. Actually, at the beginning of this year, we heard a rumor that said that Fable 4 was restarted internally, and this was debunked because a journalist came out and debunked the claims and said that, this is a hard confirmation that it is a total lie. But again, I don't really believe game journalists, and we didn't hear a confirmation from anybody that was associated with the project that this wasn't true. But this was a rumor that was floating around for quite a long time, saying that it was, created and that their current build was deemed unplayable by most of the team, and they had to, sometime last year or the year before, completely scrap the game. They had to restart it from the ground up. It was just in an awful state, and there was no way that they could have released it, which definitely wasn't good. And then, of course, you had the Fable 4 trailer, which was, of course, flooded with dislikes. People were going to the YouTube trailer, leaving negative comments, just saying that this doesn't look like it's going to be good. And the number one issue was the masculinized female lead that people were rather upset with, because we saw the, face model that they chose for this character, which is a very pretty individual, and they completely butchered this character. There were even people joking that they thought that this was a man. So there are definitely a lot of red flags with Fable right now. People have been kind of openly revolting against the seemingly main character that they have chosen. Just the first trailer that they decided to show at Xbox Game Showcase in general, combined with the fact that they've definitely got a lot of social justice warriors on the project, and even the head of Xbox Studios had said that they were aiming to bring this series forward for today's sensibilities. So it definitely seems like the game is facing some problems internally. Now we know that a narrative lead is leaving Playground Games. This could just be another sign of the issues this game is facing, or maybe it's just a very poorly timed coincidence. Only time will tell. I don't think we're going to be getting Fable 4 for at least a year or two, but that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.